amazing students. So what we're going to be doing today is going from vertex form to standard form to vertex form. Just remember that these formulas are written on your formula chart, so it's not necessarily something you need to memorize. But standard form for quadratic is y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. And vertex form is y equals a times x minus h squared plus k. It's called vertex form because it gives you the vertex. And the vertex is your letters H and K. Remember that a vertex is either the minimum or the maximum. All right, that X and Y value, but we label it H and K, the minimum or the maximum ordered pair for a parabola. So let's look at these equations. These are both in vertex form equations. And you just need to know each and every part of this equation and breaking it down. So for this one, y equals 2 times x minus 1 squared plus 5, I need to know I need to be able to look at this and know, okay, what is my vertex? Is this parabola facing up or down? How does it look? So forth and so on. So last class we learned about transformation, so we should easily be able to break this down. 2 represents my A value. Since that A value is a positive 2, I know my graph is going to be facing up and it's going to be narrow or vertical stretch. X minus 1, positive 1 represents the H value. That positive 1 represents my H value. It also tells me that my graph moved to the right 1 unit. And 5 represents the K value. That positive 5 tells me that my graph moved up 5. So what is the vertex? The vertex would be at 1, 5. And again, a lot of people get confused, but this says minus 1, Miss Patterson. Just remember, in the equation, there's a minus sign. So that means that must have been a positive 1 plugged into H to leave the minus sign. If a negative 1 was plugged into H, this would turn into a plus sign. Okay, so my vertex is at 1, 5, meaning my axis of symmetry is at x equals 1. So that means, so my graph is facing up, has a vertex at 1, 5, and has an axis of symmetry at x equals 1, okay? So we broke all that down by looking at the formula. So pause the video and look at this equation and break it down. So hopefully you pause the video. The A value is 3. What does that mean about your graph? That it's positive 3, so it's facing up and it's narrow. X plus 4, since this changed into a plus sign, I know my H value is negative 4. So since this H value is negative 4, that tells me that it's moving to the left 4. And that minus 6 is the K value. So the K value is negative 6, and it moved down 6. So my vertex is at negative 4, negative 6, and my axis of symmetry is x equals negative 4. So we want to be able to break down all of our equations like that. So here's another example. Remember, here's your H and K value. So what we're going to do is actually graph these. I wish I could give you paper right now, blank graphs, let you graph these on paper. My suggestion is get a blank graph off of Google. Just say blank graph and just screenshot it into your pictures and annotate because I want you to practice graphing. So 3, 2 is my vertex. I know this is an upward facing parabola because my A value is positive 1. Since you don't see anything there, I know it's a positive 1. And so I'm going to graph my vertex at the point 3, 2. I know my axis of symmetry, there we go, is right there. And then you might ask yourself, well, Jackson, how do you know what other points you can plot? Well, you can always just plug in stuff, right? If I want to know what y is when x is 0, I could plug in 0 for for x, I'm sorry. And I'm just plugging in a random number. I can plug in any number. 0 minus 3 is -3. I must have put plus 2. -3 squared is 9. 9 plus 2 will give me 11. So I know there's going to be a point at 0, 11 for the y-intercept. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to graph these equations. Let's break down our equation. So I'm going to pause the video, find out what your A, H, and K are, what's your vertex, is my graph facing up or down, okay, and then from there we'll graph. So your A value is 0.5. That means your graph was compressed, right? So it should be a little wide because that number is between 0 and 1. X minus 2, that means positive 2 is your H value. It moved to the right 2 compared to the parent function. And plus 1, so that K value is positive 1, meaning it moved up 1. So my vertex is at 2, 1, my H and K. My axis of symmetry is at x equals 2. So let's plot the only point we know. The only point we know right now is the vertex. So 2, 1. There's my vertex. I need at least another point to make more of this graph. I know that the axis of symmetry will be right through the vertex at x equals 2, vertical line. But I need some more information. So I need to plug in some kind of x or y value so that I can find out another value. And to me, it's easiest to plug in 0 for x because that would give me my y-intercept. So I'm going to plug in 0 for x. And guys, again, we're doing this by hand so that we can understand how, like, the why behind things. We don't just want to be like, oh, just put it into Desmos, period, done. Why? Why is this happening? So anyway, 0 minus 2 is -2. Squared plus 1. PEMDAS, I'm still doing what's in parentheses and exponents. -2 squared is positive 4, so 0.5 times 4 plus 1. 0.5 times 4 is 2, so 2 plus 1 will give me 3. So I know I have a y-intercept at 0, 3. So I know I have another point here. Well, Ms. Patterson, how can you create a parabola with just these 2 points? Well, what does our axis of symmetry do? Right, our axis of symmetry creates a line of symmetry. So if this point is 2 away from the axis of symmetry here, I know there's another point reflected 2 away from here, right? The axis of symmetry literally makes my parabola split in half. So if there's 2 away from the axis of symmetry here, it's going to be 2 away from the axis of symmetry here. So here's another point at 4, 3. And then from here, I can just make my parabola. Just pretend that's pretty and straight. Let's break out another one. My suggestion is you pause the video, break down this equation, and try to graph it yourself. So hopefully you pause the video. Again, you're not getting much out of this if you're just kind of listening to me talk and then write a note here and there. You have to interact, just like if I was there in the classroom. Interact with me. You know, I'd make you write this down. You know, I'd be calling different people's names and asking you to give me some information. So my A value is -2. Ooh, because the A value is negative, what does that tell you about the parabola? It is facing down. And that 2 means it's going to be narrow because that number is greater than 1. That's important that you know that's a down-facing parabola. X plus 2, you know that your H value then is -2. So it moved to the left 2. And you know that your K value is +7. So it moved up 7. So let's graph some points. Well, a point. I know that it has a vertex at -2, +7. -2, +7. Here's my vertex at -2, +7. I also know that this is going to be a downward facing parabola. And so I need to find another point on my line. So I know that, let's see, I have a point at -2, 7. I need to find another point. Sorry, I've been pausing the video. So let's find the y-intercept. So I'm going to plug in, for x, I'm going to plug in the value 0. So y equals -2, 0 plus 2 squared plus 7. So parentheses first, 0 plus 2 is 2. Exponent next, so -2 times 4 plus 7. Multiplication, -2 times 4 is -8. -8 plus 7 is -1. So I know I have a point, or a y-intercept at 0, -1. Remember, here's my axis of symmetry. And you're not going to see the axis of symmetry drawn. But if it's 2 away from the axis of symmetry this way, I know it's going to be 2 away this way. So here's another point. So here we go. So here's my parabola. And remember, I knew it was facing down because my a value was negative. All right, so now we're going to write vertex equations given the vertex and a point. So let me break down how to do this. And you're going to notice this is very similar to stuff we've done in the first and second 9 weeks of school. Write a quadratic form function in vertex form. Pause. Why am I pausing? It tells me what form to write it in. And when it tells you what form to write it in, what should you write? That form down. So I know it wants it in y equals a times x minus h squared plus k. So now that I have the form, let me see. So it can be represented by the graph that has a vertex. Pause. What letters represent vertex? H and K. So it has a vertex at 3, -7. So I'm going to label this point H, K. And passes through the point. Point. How do I label a point? X, Y. So passes through the point 1, -10. So I have all of these letters labeled. What do you think I'm going to do with the letters? I'm going to plug them in. So y equals a x minus h squared plus k. I don't know why I wrote the whole thing over again. And so y value is -10. The x value is +1. The h value is +3, so 1 minus 3 squared. And then the k value is -7, so -7. So now that I have all of this done, now I'm going to use all this information to break down, to figure out my a value. So we have all the letters except a, so we need to find that. So remember, PEMDAS, I have to go in the order of operations. So let's start with what's happening in parentheses. 1 minus 3, -2. So I have -2 squared, oops, not plus, -7. Then exponent, -2 squared is 4, so -10 equals a times 4 minus 7. And remember, I'm solving for a. So now it's time to put our line down the equal sign and try to solve. Well, it says a times 4 minus 7. I'm trying to solve for a. The easiest thing to get rid of right now is this -7. So I'm going to add 7 to both sides. And that's going to give me -3 equals a times 4. And then how am I going to get rid of this 4 if a and 4 are multiplied together? Divide both sides by 4. So that's going to give me an a value of -0.75. Now that I have my a, I have my h and k, I can now write down my equation. And remember, guys, when I write my equation, I no longer fill in the x and y. That was purely to find the letter that I needed. So it'd be y equals -0.75 x minus 3 Again, I'm just following my equation. It's a positive h value, so I plug it in. It says x minus 3 squared, and then the k value is negative 7, so minus 7. And here's my equation in vertex form. All right, I know that was a lot and that was fast. If you feel like you got it, do the next example by yourself. Pause the video and try to do it. If you don't feel like you have it, then please watch the next one slowly. So write a quadratic function in vertex form that can be represented by the graph that, vertex form. Before I keep reading, I need to write down my vertex form equation. And guys, sorry for these black specks that show up every time I touch the screen. Anyways, by the graph that has a vertex, how do I label my vertex? H and K at 3, 5, and passes through the point. How do you label a point? X and Y, 5, 13. So I'm going to plug in what I know so that I can write my equation. So 13 equals, I don't know my A value, parenthesis, the X value is 5, the H value is 3, so minus 3 squared, plus K, so my K value is 5, so plus 5. All right, 5 minus 3 is 2. 2 squared is 4. And guys, you know I use the same numbers like all the time. And I need to solve for A, so I gotta get rid of this plus 5, so subtract 5 from both sides. 8 equals 8 times 4. Divide both sides by 4. 2 equals A. So my equation would be y equals 2 times x minus 3 squared plus 5. Here's my vertex form equation. So what I want you to do is practice. Here's a whole bunch of practice for those of you who like practice problems, and try it out. And then there's one last thing we're learning. So I know I am piling it on you today. I totally understand that, but you've got this. I want to go from vertex form to standard form. So that means I want to go from y equals a, x minus h squared plus k, to y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. So let's look at a vertex form equation. I want to change this so that it's in standard form. No, I don't just randomly choose these numbers and make them into my standard form equation. No. I need to simplify this and break it down. Well, to do that, I have to follow the order of PEMDAS. So x minus 2, I can't do anything with that. So the next thing I'm going to do is the exponent. X minus 2 squared. So then I have to move on to the exponent. So I need to do x minus 2 squared. Well, x minus 2 squared is not just distributing this squared to everything. X minus 2 squared is x minus 2 times itself. So, box method or FOIL, whichever you prefer, x minus 2 times x minus 2. X times x will give me x squared. Negative 2 times x will give me negative 2x. Negative 2 times x will give me negative 2x. Negative 2 times negative 2 will give me positive 4. So that would break down into x squared minus 4x plus 4. So this x minus 2 squared would be at y equals 5 times x squared minus 4x plus 4 minus 10. Next thing I need to do, what do you think? Is distribute. Distribute this 5. So y equals 5x squared minus 20x plus 20 minus 10. What would be the last thing I need to do to simplify this? Combine our like terms. Plus 20 minus 10. So y equals 5x squared minus 20x plus 10. I have successfully gone from vertex form to standard form. My a value is 5. My b value is negative 20. And my c value is 10. Let's try one more, and then we will be done with this video. Again, I'm sorry for piling it all on you at once. All right, so I want to go from vertex form to standard form. So first thing I need to do is look at parentheses. X plus 4, I can't do anything. So exponent, x plus 4 squared. That's x plus 4 times itself. So x plus 4 times x plus 4. X times x is x squared. 4 times x is 4x. 4 times x is 4x. 4 times 4 is 16. So that's x squared plus 8x plus 16. And again, I'm just combining like terms, the 4x and the 4x to give me the 8x. So this turns into y equals negative 2 times x squared plus 8x plus 16 plus 2. So this exponent went away because I went ahead and multiplied this out. What's the next thing I need to do? Distribute. So I'm going to distribute that negative 2. So negative 2x squared minus 16x minus 32 plus 2. Am I done? Nope, I have to combine like terms. So negative 32 and the positive 2. So y equals negative 2x squared minus 16x minus 30. And here is my equation in vertex form. These are my A, B, and C. All right, guys. Y'all have a great day. Make sure all this work is being shown. Go back to this video for reference for the assignment today on Canvas. Bye.